Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is TJ. I'm here with Colin. No, Dan. Dan is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe. Yeah, I remember earlier we were trying to name things that we knew about Minnesota or Minneapolis. We know Prince, John Michael Schmitz. I said Lawrence Maroney, and Colin, what did you say? Bob Dylan and Thin Lizzy.
No, Thin Lizzy were Irish. It was the Replacements, Lizzo, because I guess that's why
Lizzo.
She says something about Minnesota Vikings and that stupid song of hers. But she's
I don't
like
know any of her music.
She's quasi canceled now anyway. So
well, whatever she, I was reading what she was, making people do, and it sounded kind of fun to me. I just don't like bananas, so. I would not have enjoyed that because I just really hate bananas. It's like the texture, the flavor. It's the same reason I don't like to drink wheat beer because it tastes like bananas to me, the yeast.
Does
you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes.
Oh yeah, I guess it depends on the beer. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like the Hefeweizen and stuff, like I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
One of my least favorite styles, but some people just love it.
Yeah.
The best one is Allagash White, but
it is. I will have it rarely. That's kind of a summer beer situation.
Yeah.
Like a really cold. Yeah, I get down, but not normally.
I don't want to drink it. But today we'll get into some training camp and whatever else comes to mind. As usual, guys, you can follow Big Blue United on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can follow BBU Pod, Bows of the Z on X. Yeah. Is this the stupidest rebrand of all time? You literally had like this brand that you could not put a price tag on. I mean, I guess you could put $44 billion price tag on it. And then you changed it to X. And now, and my favorite part is you got rid of the X videos Twitter handle so you could take it so you can name the videos played on your social media site X videos. Congratulations.
Not very smart. Did you mention, side note, that this is the first episode of
season 4, episode 1. Here we are. Excited to be back. 4 years we've been doing this, huh? Or 3 years. This is starting on the 4th.
Yeah, I really can't. I mean, I know it hasn't been that long, but I can't believe we're starting the 4th season. It's just flown by, and it's finally starting to sort of feel like things are turning around. And I think talking about the whole training camp so far, not getting ahead of oneself, but it's nice to feel a little bit good about what's coming, possibly.
I mean, you have to like what they did with the roster in the offseason. You have to like, the continuity of having Daniel Jones in the same offensive system 2 years in a row. You like, to see what they've added in certain position groups they were deficient in, wide receiver specifically, moving into training camp this year. So you actually went to training camp, Colin. Tell us about the experience. What did you see while you were there?
Yeah, I went with my dad on July 30th. It was the Sunday, which I was worried that since it was a weekend day, it was just going to be a madhouse. And this was the first training camp that I had been to since, I think, Albany, some like 2009 or 10 or whenever that was. And
it was right before they built the new stadium. I think that whenever they built the new stadium, then they built the Quest Diagnostic Center at the same time, right? That's when
exactly right. And
I think I went 2008, 2009 sounds right because I was living in Albany about that time. Yeah.
Yes. And that was great, but like, it's just so much nicer to know I can get up in the morning and not have to drive 2.5, 3 hours to go to a Giants training camp. And the whole setup is great. I mean, they, my dad and I, of course, were decked out in all the clothing that you could need to not get sunburned in because, the vampire stuff. So didn't need it. They have these incredibly built like temporary stands with fully tented out. It's great. And we went on an incredible day weather-wise. I think it was like 75 degrees. And This was before the pads, full pads. So it was just helmet and shoulder pads. And, it was really relaxed. The whole situation, we walk in, there's a season ticket holder tent right as soon as you walk in, and they give you you basically present your ticket and you get a free bag. You get a bag. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. And it's a bucket hat, a reversible bucket hat. It actually rules. I'm pretty pumped on it. Yeah, and we just basically they had some food trucks and stuff, but we just went right to the seats, sat down, and just kind of got in our let's diagnose every single situation here and see what. I was just fascinated to see the run of practice, because I don't, you see the videos, the highlights from practice in Giants.com is like you're seeing the catches, you're seeing the breakaway runs. They're hardly tackling each other. But what was really fascinating was just seeing the timing of things and like how Dable runs a practice. He only has about a little less than 2 hours, because I think that's an NFL mandated time. I believe it's across the board league-wise. You're only allowed to practice a certain amount of time. So it's like you got to pack a lot of stuff in that time. So, you think back to the kind of practices you had playing football in high school, and it's just like completely different. You think there'd be like a rhyme or reason to like the order in which they're doing things, and there isn't. It's kind of just like where the personnel is on the 3 different fields that they were using at a certain time. And they bring them together like 3 times out of the whole practice for like usually a 11 on 11 kind of situation. And it was fascinating. I mean, I think one of the biggest things that I read in articles afterwards is how, and this was different from last year, Dable was constantly throwing different packages of players in with the first team all the time. So you're getting second and third string guys getting first string reps on the regular, which frankly, love it. I mean, that's just planning for inevitable, injuries. Someone's just playing bad, someone else has to go in, like that kind of thing. It's like, it kind of makes it feel like it's an entire team and everybody has a chance to put in a lot of work. So yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it a lot. And it was certainly fascinating to see Darren Waller and the Darren Waller show, because that's
sure.
really, it's what it is.
Did you have assigned seats there, or you just sit wherever?
When you buy the ticket, it says general admission, and it gives you seat numbers, but like you walk up and the security is just like, yeah, wherever you can find the seats, whatever.
I got you. Yeah, Darren Waller. What was my favorite quote about Darren Waller? Wink Martindale. It's like he's eating peanuts off the top of people's heads. Martindale said about watching Waller climb and making catches his defensive backs can't compete with. I saw a real good play of him absolutely dominating Banks, who he makes Tay Banks look like a child.
Well, funny you say that, because it's been very noticeable that Banks is slow to come on board. I mean, he's a rookie. He said it himself. The game has to slow down for him a little bit. So he's going to be a little bit slower to the uptake. However, you got someone like Trey Hawkins, who's ripping it up as a 6th rounder.
That he is the most exciting part of training camp for me. And I was looking this up, Colin. What do you think was the last time the Giants had a 6th round pick that made an impact?
6th round pick.
Could you guess? You have to go back quite a while.
You think in 90s?
It would be 2003. 6th round pick.
That's
who I decided.
I know who it is.
Who is it?
It's David Tyree.
It is David Tyree. You are right.
Yes.
Good job. Good job. That was a hard one. But yeah, so I mean, just the Giants have had so much struggle drafting, in the late rounds and having any production at any of these guys. If you look back at the draft classes, essentially none of these people are still on the team. So the fact that, you have a guy coming in as a 6th round rookie and in one of the harder positions to learn in the NFL, probably after quarterback, I think they say corner is like the second hardest to really adjust to. I'm just like, couldn't be more thrilled that he has potential to, he's been starting with the first unit. He might start this year. We might have, 2 rookies and it's telling that they like him so much that they're willing to, give Adoree some snaps in the slot too, which is very interesting.
I love that, because it's almost like, in a weird way, and I know this sounds bizarre and kind of ass backwards, but it's almost like Hawkins will have a safety blanket in the slot with Adoree there, if that is in fact what they end up trying to do in certain packages. Which, frankly, if Trey ends up continuing this rise and figuring out the playbook and showing up every day and kind of looking the part and looking like a starter, hey, that's fine with me. I don't mind having the possibility of 2 two rookies starting. That is if Banks, starts to put it together, which I think he already has, but it's been definitely noticeable that he's a little slow. But I'm not worried about that at all.
He's had ups and downs. I think he's definitely had flashes of good coverage, good plays. I mean, not everyone's going to come in and learn the position right away. Sauce Gardner is like a very specific example of like a rarity of a rookie who comes in and kind of just figures it all out right away.
Yeah.
I like. Did you hear what his nickname is? What Wink's nickname for him is?
For Banks?
Yeah.
No.
The Goldfish.
Why?
Because he
forgets. No. Yes.
Because he always, whenever he makes a mistake, he forgets and comes back up, which is, kind of antiquated because I think you can train goldfish. I think they prove that they have memories. So
well, that's what they're doing.
It's all right, Wink. Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting revamped secondary, and also I think you forget you have Cordell Flott, who was a third or fourth round pick a year ago. Potential. Aaron Robinson, who was the starter next to Adoree or on the other side of Adoree.
Started.
I mean, he didn't play that well. He got hurt. But still, you have a person that you potentially would trust to start the game if you absolutely had to, as maybe your third or fourth cornerback. I think the odd man out here becomes the Darnay Holmes situation, and I think that because his cap hit is $2.6 million, the Giants need cap space. I think that's primarily the reason why he might get cut, and you might see two rookies in the Adoree starting, or, you might see Robinson or Flott move into that slot position.
Well, I mean, I've seen a bunch of highlights, and especially on the one day we were there, it was very obvious that he, not to, go with the fish analogy again, but he looked like a fish out of water. And that's because he's more of a zone player. And you know what Wink's all about. He's all about the man with spotting of zone here and there when it calls for it. But he wants to blitz, and he wants to more or less go man when he can. And he's struggling. He's getting burned by, Cole Beasley's making him look like a fool. Which that's an interesting development too.
Cole Beasley?
Yeah, with a Q. Hey, not to jump to that, but like he's staying after practice, building a rapport with Jones. He's trying to stick. I can't hate the veteran presence of a wide receiver in a very young room.
I just hope that like him staying after practice hasn't deterred him from seeing Sound of Freedom 3 to 4 times in the theater. So we can always hope. But actually, Beasley, I mean, if we want to move over to wide receiver, the only other defensive back thing to really mention before we move on, I guess, is Pinnock. Looks to be the starter. We were high on Belton. We thought Belton might beat out Love last year. So, it's a disappointment to me that Belton isn't developing more. But hey, Pinnock, he started on the Jets. He played for us last year. A couple times people got hurt. So, I think we'll probably see some interesting, maybe 3 safety sets as well that we saw last year. So it's a possibility.
Just to end on him, that one-handed interception that it's
dope.
I was at that one for.
Oh, nice.
It did not even look remotely close to as good as it was from where we were sitting. I had to see the highlights afterwards. Like, holy crap! Like everybody was cheering and getting insane. And like Waller was just like, all about it. And even though he was the one who was supposed to be catching the touchdown, but he's definitely locked himself into a spot right there, which is interesting too, because it's sort of like we have 2 safeties that are more on the free safety feel. I mean, Pinnock can hit, but he's definitely a ball hawk. So I don't think we've had quite a tandem like that where it's like 2 center field type safeties, which frankly in this, NFL today, you need the guys who can cover and have the speed to catch up to the guys going deep and all that kind of stuff. So it's great.
The days of your boy Williams making the Pro Bowl type player are long gone.
Yeah. Remember those stupid
the horse collar
sleeves? The sleeves.
The sleeves and the horse collar tackling.
Yeah, he was terrible.
He was the reason why they made that a penalty, because that was his like signature move.
Bozo.
Yeah. Dirty player, and he played for the Cowboys.
He was Cowboy and a Lion, who were going to be playing this weekend. So that's
Friday.
Yeah,
they're having a couple joint practices as well. So that hasn't happened yet, but good thing to keep an eye on. I don't know, man. I was just watching TV the other day, and I think I was watching the Yankee game or something, and Giants Friday, and I was like, oh my god, football's back.
Yeah.
So pumped.
Yeah.
So
In
pumped.
fact, I don't even think I have plans Friday, so I can actually watch it. That's great.
I mean, I have to work, but by having to work, I mean I will sit at the bar and have a beer and watch the Giants game.
Yeah.
And let all the employees do all the work.
Actually,
Because why if you own a business and you don't make everyone else do all the work for you, what's the point? You know?
yeah, I wish I wish I wasn't a one-man band and doing all of the work myself. So
Oh
otherwise,
yeah.
I would try to do the same. Yeah, I might go. I haven't even told her yet, but I guess she'll hear this. I might go to my mother's. So, Kathy, if you're listening in a day or two, I'll probably have told you that I'm coming by. So you'll already hear this.
You already have known. No, don't tell her. Don't tell her, and just show up and see if she actually listens to the podcast or not.
Nice. That'll be the test.
Yes,
and then
that's the
she's
test.
just not home on Friday, and I just screw myself. But yeah, to the offense. Before we
let's do. You want to? Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, before I wanted to dive into the wide receivers, I wanted to add how amazingly, blatantly obvious, and it pumps me up so much that Daniel Bellinger is going to be a part of this game plan.
Oh,
and
sure.
I love it. I love it. I love the idea of the 12 group, as they call it. It's just going to be it. I mean, they're both going to get split out. He'll have his hand in the dirt a little bit more than Waller will, but speaking of which, I mean, Waller's basically going to be the number one wide receiver. That's what I gathered from the one. He's going to be split out more than he's going to be in line, period. It's just what it is. But that said, I don't remember the last time the Giants had two tight ends that were, pretty damn good and on the field at the same time. That wasn't just one guy who was just a straight blocker.
Yeah, I think Darren Waller is probably a fantastic late round fantasy pickup this year if he makes it to a late round.
I'd have to think.
I mean, he might not have 1,000 yards, but he's going to score 10 touchdowns or more. I mean, you'd hope anyway if Daniel Jones can pump those numbers up. But he's, looked better this camp. I like, just talking the offense in general, I like what they're doing. It's very creative, like the whole positionless sort of thing they're kind of doing. We've seen Paris Campbell come out of the backfield. We've seen Saquon catching the ball a little more. Again, moving the tight ends around and stuff. So I just love that we finally have more of the personnel that we know Daboll can utilize and use his best stuff, because we certainly couldn't see it last year because there was really nobody in the pass catching positions that could really run, this sort of offense. But I think, after Waller having, a monster camp, you have to look at how Jalen Hyatt's been doing as well.
Dude.
He hit 24 miles an hour. So by reference, Usain Bolt's fastest speed was 27 miles per hour. So he is fast.
Yeah, he's technically straight ahead speed faster than Tyreek Hill. That's like a recorded fact, which is kind of insane to think about. So I don't know. Can he put a couple of pounds on just because the NFL is going to be a tough, smack in the face one of these first games? Yeah, maybe. I don't think he'll lose speed, but you'll probably see him bulk up over the next season or two. But that said, he's not going to be dependent on as being the number one guy from the get-go. You kind of already feel that. However, he will be out there often. He's
going to be out there often because teams will have to account for his speed, whether it's from the outside or from the middle. And that's just going to open up things for everybody. And you forget to, Paris Campbell is also an extremely fast player. I think he ran like a 4.31 at the combine. So, I mean, just having all that speed on the field, plus, a really intimidating mismatch. Yeah, Slayton as well. Slayton's been working on his hands, thankfully. I think, everyone's lamented him for that enough over the years. So I hope the work he's putting in this year, translates to the field. But I mean, Waller is just an absolute mismatch, basically against anybody he goes against. So if everyone can stay healthy, Hyatt and Paris out there, stretching the field, being quick, and, don't forget Wan'Dale will come back too. He's in the same vein as those two guys as well.
Yeah.
I just think the offense is just so much more dynamic. And everyone, was a little upset they never got like a number one receiver, but I think the Waller pickup was just that. You just made that point a few minute ago.
I think they traded for him anyway, but I think what sold Waller, probably conversations with his agent about the situation was basically you can picture the conversation. It's like, hey man, you're going there to be the number one wide receiver. You're a tight end. Yeah, sure. But you're going to be the number one target there. And he's like, well, yeah, that sounds
Mhm.
great. Obviously I'm down. That said, you know, the theme of the last couple of years on this podcast and a lot of the fans in general, anyone who has a podcast talking about this team, is it always goes back to Jones. And, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself by any means, and I won't, because we know what we have gotten from him in the past. But like you said, he's looked better. He's looked a lot better. And I know it's training camp, and I know it doesn't mean anything until, you know, the bullets start flying, as that whole term goes. But like, you remember reading some of the reports and the articles on some of these training camp sessions the last couple of years, and it's just like, oh God, how are we going to have any sort of confidence in this guy? It sounds like he's still putting his arm and his brain together to make it make sense. And like, you're not really seeing that. It's like he knows what he wants to do, and he's almost incorporating all of these new people into his plan of how to and distributing the ball. Like, he's the checkdowns and the third and the fourth read. Like, he's doing the things that we were like, why can't this guy figure out how to do? It'll be very interesting, you know, from what we see in the preseason from him, if we're able to see, you know, albeit in a vanilla style offense, if he tries to work on that and show that kind of stuff. And I mean, we won't know until the last preseason game or the first game or second game what he's actually bringing to the table this year. But I don't know. I think it's all set up for him to, you know, either fall on his face or really take the next step from last year. And I think he couldn't have a better platform to do so, with the better, you know, the supporting cast of the staff and all the new talent around him. This is it. I think this is,
this is finally the year where we can evaluate Daniel Jones.
Well,
his fifth season, and still nobody knows what kind of quarterback he really is.
Well, you know what? Not for nothing, there's no excuses anymore. If there were any at all from any of the morons on X
Don't worry,
or
Colin,
Twitter or whatever,
they're gonna come up with something if he struggles.
I know, but the real ones will know. The real ones will know, and that's all that matters.
They paid him. He's our quarterback. You know, I hope that he's going to improve, and he should. Especially, you know, you'd have to think the offensive line is going to take a step forward. Obviously, we mentioned the pass catching group and Waller specifically. I mean, the thing about Jones is, like, he needs to throw more than 15 touchdown passes. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, he's getting paid $40 million a year, and he really, you know, hasn't been that prolific of a passer over his career. You know, it is what it is. I trust, you know, Shane. I think we all kind of have seen how much better he's been as GM than, you know, the last one was. I mean, not that that's hard. I think you and I could probably been in better GMs than Gettleman, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm really looking forward to just seeing how the offense comes together. And I think, you know, Evan Neal has looked a lot better in camp. Andrew Thomas is just a monster. And by the way, him being left off the NFL top 100 list is an absolute crock of caca.
That is the continuous let's hate the Giants situation. That's like, oh, no, Giants suck for 10 years. Yeah, we're not putting anybody in the top 100.
Dexter Lawrence was like 17, right? But he was pretty much the second best defensive tackle in football. Andrew Thomas was the third ranked tackle, and they had Wirfs on there, like, and he was the seventh ranked tackle. So I don't know who's coming up with these lists, but
it's probably Dan Graziano. That's probably
I mean, you know, if you really want to look at the grades, it's not accurate at all. And the fact that, like, not even top 100 when you're, you know, the third best offensive tackle in the NFL.
Where was he ranked? What was the actual number?
Who, Andrew Thomas?
Oh, it's only the 100, so they didn't like put anything.
No, yeah, and apparently he didn't even. I read that he wasn't even in like the 10 runner-ups either.
Yeah, someone screwed up there. Just because they were a mediocre team last year doesn't mean the guy who was at times the best left tackle in the NFL last season. They won
a playoff game. I mean, you know, you're a relevant team. You're in the playoffs. You won a game.
Yeah.
You know, they obviously got dismantled by the Eagles, but we all kind of knew that the Giants weren't there yet. But if you look, you know, they look improved. They look better. I think Evan Neal taking a step forward is going to be huge. And, you know, I like to see, excuse me, obviously we got, you know, John Michael Schmitz has, you know, basically locked up the center position, which is awesome. We were really kind of worried about the depth there in free agency because basically had nobody. And then, you have Bredesen, Glowinski, and Azudu all seem to be, competing for those other spots. So I think they have confidence in the guys they have. Pert came in, looked like a decent backup tackle when Neal went out with the concussion.
He'll be the
so you have a swing tackle. Yeah. I mean, there was another guy that are using a swing tackle. I forget his name, but he was looking good too.
Lemieux is kind of back from injury as well. He's got to be, he had, I don't remember what the injury was off the top of my head, but like it wasn't great. But I saw him at camp. He's there. He's someone to keep in mind. I feel like a lot of the depth that we have, especially at the interior, both guards, are a bunch of guys that kind of have a little experience already, which is kind of cool. It's not, I mean, Azudu is the I guess the freshest face because he was a rookie last year, but like even he was pretty good at run blocking.
I was excited. I'm excited to see him back, and I like that he's kind of been taking the most first team reps because I was pretty high on him last year before he got hurt, and I thought he could be kind of the future at one of the interior line positions. So it's nice to see him kind of take the step up. Yeah, I mean Lemieux is an interesting. I mean he's good depth. I don't think you're going to see him starting on this line. But I think he makes the team.
Yes, I think the inevitable injury situation that the NFL always deals with every single year. The more depth you have, especially on the line, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
So almost everybody there has some sort of play, either starting or actual game playing experience. So.
I mean, if Glowinski is your backup, he's started every game for every season he's played.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just going to be nice. I hope that Daniel Jones gets a little more time in the pocket, gets, a little bit more use out of his arm, and stops putting his body on the line so much, running the ball. Not that it's not exciting and he's not, very mobile and great at it, but I want to see him, take the next step as a passer. I think, and I think an improved offensive line is critical to that.
And, not that it's telling of what they're actually going to do, but I did find it interesting that of all of the 11-on-11 plays, there were quite a few designed quarterback runs in there. Not like a ridiculous amount, but enough to be noticeable. It's like, okay, well, this is definitely still going to be part of the game plan. But I think with the new talent, the impetus is going to be towards let's put the ball down the field a little bit before you take off and run. But Saquon looked great. I'm happy it all worked out the way it did with him. We've already talked about it. I mean, it's a good situation. The 1-year deal, great. I mean, he's going to fight for it. In fact, they threw him the ball a bunch in practice too, and I think they're finally going to try to get him back to not quite as many catches as he had his rookie year because that was all checkdowns from Eli and 92 catches or whatever it was. It's not going to be like that. I think they're going to actually put him out like on routes and like
goes back to that sort of positionless offense sort of thing we've been seeing. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I'm happy Saquon is back. The Giants are a better team with him there. That being said, the whole thing was I know we went over this last time, but I'll, just mention like, you basically held out, made all this drama, all this news, all this BS to basically take the exact deal you were being offered from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was only your fault that you turned down, whatever the $13 million deal was or whatever they offered you, multi-year deal that you didn't want to do, claiming you didn't want to reset the market and then, wouldn't take, what would be, probably the second or third richest running back contract in the league. I mean, even making $11 million, he's top 5 paid in the NFL. He was also a second-round pick, so he's already been making money. I mean, I'm not going to say that, he doesn't deserve to get, proper pay, but if you just look at what the market is, that's what it's going for right now.
Second overall pick, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, second overall pick. Did I say second-round pick?
Yeah.
Whatever.
That would be a lot better of a situation. Yeah. I just, he's I think he finally put his hands up at a certain point. It was just like, all right, agent team, can we just we screwed this up. We screwed the pooch here. Can I get what I can get and get the hell on the field with my teammates? Because this is a team on the rise in his eyes and a lot of our eyes. And he wanted to make sure he was there from the get-go and be a part of the game plan and not be this, dragging ass into the last week of August being like, hey, you guys mind if I come back and play with you? No, he wants to be a part of the whole process.
And I'm happy that we didn't have to listen to an entire training camp of when's Saquon coming back.
Oh, yes.
So we can actually, get some, real news and more interesting information than having, Dable be asked the same question every single day 5 times.
Speaking of him, I've never seen this before. He was getting cheers, clapping, chants. It was wild. I've never seen. I mean, even when Coughlin was around, you didn't want to chant for him. Yeah, you watch him come out, you clap for him, and then that's it for the rest of the day because Coughlin was yelling at everybody the whole time, and you didn't want to. That's not like exciting. Him just being there, twirling around his whistle, and just that bald head all burnt up because he doesn't like wearing hats for some reason. It's like the guy's a psychopath. And I was trying to take more pictures of him, but he's on the move constantly. Like he stands, he led a couple of drills here and there, and they were mostly drills that you wouldn't think you'd lead, like the gunner drill for punts. Like all right, cool. And he was like not hands-on anything else. He would just jump into the kind of situations where the kind of lower level players on the team would be involved, which is kind of cool to see. It's like, all right, he's not this big figurehead up in the Wizard of Oz castle on this pedestal that, like, I don't know, he's just such a down-to-earth seeming kind of coach that I can't imagine how anybody on this team wouldn't rally behind him. And that, the proof is in the pudding already, especially with the playoff win last year. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to see any Giants fighting each other at training camp this year.
No, I mean,
I don't see it.
I don't think there's been anything. You haven't heard anything. No one's like, taking a fist full of helmet or swinging at someone or trying to punch someone in the helmet.
You don't have your star cornerback calling your star quarterback a bitch ass. Like
that. God, I want the Cowboys to suck so bad, more so than usual.
Colin, it's their year. Don't you know?
To suck more than usual?
No, it's every single offseason. It's the Cowboys' year. You didn't know that?
Oh man, I think Dak is gonna really blow.
I hate that team with a passion, but they are on paper better than the Giants. But that they have a way. Mike McCarthy does not inspire any confidence in me.
He's just a big fat baby man.
Yeah, I mean Dan Quinn is their defense is going to be good, but yeah. I think their offense is going to sputter as it usually does.
Yeah,
Dak, Dakota Prescott.
I think
Dakota Fanning Prescott.
I think he's going to have a very rough start to the season, and it might snowball. I mean, I know I've only seen the 1 or 2 clips of him in their training camp, but like, holy crap, he's underthrowing balls left and right, and like the defense is just ripping into him. It's hilarious. Like, I mean, that's something very interesting. You would never, ever, regardless of what you say about the guy, you'd never see a defensive back on the Giants do that to Daniel Jones. Never.
Hell no.
It just wouldn't happen.
No.
Why is that the culture that's going on the Cowboys? That must mean that the defense actually doesn't respect this guy.
It's totally possible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watched the Cowboys a couple times last year. I don't know if they were really the defense is bailing out the offense more so than the offense was scoring points. But if that's the case, you definitely would get annoyed. There's a great meme of like Melvin Gordon staring at Russell Wilson. Obviously, they're on the same side of the ball, but like that sort of feeling,
It was like one of these these eyes, like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, what,
there, man?
Yeah.
Let's see, Colin. I think we could maybe just touch quickly on the middle linebacker situation because your boy Darian Beavers.
Yeah,
looks like he's the starter.
I'm very happy that he has come back from that not so great injury very well. However, I did notice, and it was just the one training camp, but Micah McFadden has a role, and he's going to be in there quite a bit because the way, similar to what I was saying earlier about how Dable was sprinkling in a lot of different people on the offensive side of the ball with the ones. Same thing on defense. A little less so, but it was still happening. A lot of different packages, as many different kinds of linebacker groupings. Carter Coughlin was out there a lot, more of a seemingly in a pass rushing role, which is kind of what he's not relegated to, but that's what he's best at now. But yeah, Beavers was You know, he was the guy I called us drafting into the
You did.
draft that year, and
Another 6th-round pick.
yeah, really bummed that he got injured when he did because he's got tons of athleticism. He was known for, finally covering a tight end over the seam, which is what we've been missing. And Bobby Okereke has that ability too. So if you get two guys that can cover tight ends or whoever else goes in there, that's better than what we've done for the last 15 years. So stay
Yeah.
healthy. He's big, he's fast.
They say he might be a better cover guy than Okereke.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
Okereke has a more elite run stopping ability.
Which great.
But I think the two of them are going to complement each other well. And I think, if you have McFadden as, that third rotational guy, that's a great piece to have for depth on your defense. This has been a position where the Giants were historically always dominant at, and then kind of gave that up over the past, 15 years to a decade, whatever you want to say. So, to have, what looks to be like finally a really cool, linebacker group, whether you want to say, Kayvon, Azeez, Okereke, and Beavers. The Giants finally, look like that 3-4 kind of scary sort of front again. I think, they probably need to sign another pass rusher. There's a lot of them out there. You sent us a list the other day. I like Justin Houston a lot. Who were you saying?
Hey, the best story.
Oh yeah, JPP, right?
JPP,
yeah.
bring him back. He's 5.5 sacks from 100 sacks.
He's got 5.5 fingers.
Yep. Why not give him a vet minimum? Bring him in, and have him in as that someone's tired. Get that guy on the field on a third down. He'll chase after whoever he needs to. Like, why not? It would be a great story.
They definitely need depth because Ellerson Smith is gone. He never panned out. Who's really a pass rusher? Carter Coughlin, Tomon Fox.
That's fine.
Jihad Ward. Nunez Roches probably projects to be more of a guy in the middle.
Yeah.
But, I think you need someone from the edge.
Yeah, and I think what they're probably going to do is they're going to keep tabs on all these other teams' training camps and see who's looking like that guy that they can steal at the end of a roster and kind of throw in as a I don't know if they're going to spend any money on someone who used to be a starter, big time. Like JPP would be right because he is definitely probably this season and then he's retiring. Maybe not. How old is he now?
No idea, man, but I'll find out now.
He was young coming into the league. I think he was, I don't know, he was 20 years old, I think, when he came out. So he's on the younger side. Anyway.
Oh, okay. He's 34.
Okay, yeah, this is probably it.
I'm surprised by that. I thought he would be a little younger.
Yeah.
1989.
That's wild. I can't believe how long he's been in the league, to be honest.
Yeah, once he kind of went to Tampa, you just sort of forgot about him until he blew his hand off, and then we all made fun of him. And then every 4th of July, you bring him up. But other than that, you don't really think about him that much, you know?
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd be into that. Who else was on that list, too? There were some interesting names.
I like Justin Houston. I've always liked him as a player, and he's still productive, and I think you get him for nothing.
Carl Nassib would not be an awful.
No, that's not a bad one either. I could probably find this list right now, depending on how much we have texted each other over the last few days. But either way, it doesn't matter, who it is. But I think you are right that they could potentially look to get somebody younger and not force, maybe someone older who maybe has 1 year left or. I don't know.
Maybe someone who's on the possible upswing, someone they can develop a little bit and maybe turn into like a Dave Tollefson kind of situation where he ends up being like a really good role player, like someone who gets sacks, but he doesn't start, Yeah,
Dave Tollefson. It's a good throwback there.
Number 71, great player.
I can't find this list, but whatever. Either way. Oh, wait. Jadeveon Clowney, Carlos Dunlap, Trey Flowers, Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram, Jordan Jenkins, Carl Nassib, JPP, Robert Quinn. A lot of guys over the hill on that list.
Yeah. You can take your pick. It's basically they're all the same guy for the most part.
Isn't it funny how Jadeveon Clowney got picked first overall because of that one highlight from college where he just absolutely destroyed that dude? But then he never ended up really being that great. He was he's huge. He was like a freak of nature, and he was all right in the beginning, but he never really put it together in the long run. How many teams has he been on now? 4? at least, and a lot of
Yeah.
1-year deals. And I mean, he's better run stopper than he ever was a pass rusher.
That's
which
true.
is,
He
you
was
know,
kind of like
predominantly.
more. He was kind of like a Chris Canty type.
Sure.
You
Chris
know.
Canty, that's a good throwback.
Yeah.
I was excited. I like when we signed him.
He's still in the New York area. I believe he has a radio show or a TV show or I forget what it is. He's around. He's like he's one of those former Giants that kind of stuck around for a while. So it's good to see that.
Yeah. I want to ask you one more thing before we're done, Colin. Is Sterling Shepard going to make the team?
I think so, and it's only because his rapport with Jones is so good.
I hope so. I hope he beats out Cole Beasley.
You know, it's really tough. That is actually going to be the most hard position group to figure out going into the regular season. It's going to be impossible. I mean, I think, you know, you have the obvious candidates for being on the hot seat like Darnay Holmes, but like offensive wise, I mean,
we have Jamison Crowder's on this team too. I haven't heard anything about him, but he's been productive in the past too.
Yeah, and Jeff Smith just got injury waived, so that's I didn't even see what his injury was. I don't know.
Who's that guy? Colin Johnson.
Oh yeah,
he's 6'6", big dude. He's got a chance to make the team as well.
And he's been doing pretty well. I mean, you got that Ford Wheaton, the undrafted free agent from West Virginia, number 6, my dude. He's been playing well too. I mean, there's like, you're throwing all these wide receivers in there. It doesn't matter if they're projected to start or not, and they're performing. So it makes it extremely difficult for the coaching staff, which is a great spot to be in. So
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they carried 7 wideouts.
I think it's likely at this point.
And I mean, with the injuries racking up as they did last year, I think you have to really stack at that position, and they have a lot of similar guys, which I think is good. So they won't have to change the playbook too drastically, moving different pieces in and out. So
exactly.
You know what? I was reading, if Shep doesn't make the team, it's just like they'll probably hire him on the staff like immediately.
I don't think I think he'll play. I think this is his last season playing.
Probably.
And then, yeah, I'm sure he's got a wide receiver coaching job just sitting there waiting for him as soon as he wants it.
It's a very likable man. Longest tenured Giant, as we've said a million times.
When was he drafted?
Worth mentioning again.
2015 or 16?
Oh boy, I remember he was a second-round pick, but let me see. He's 30 years old.
Oh, he's only 30, huh?
2016 was his rookie year.
Okay, yeah.
40th overall pick.
Good. He's one of those. He's like the prototypical once a Giant, always a Giant kind of guy, and I mean, he's not going to play for another team. He's just not.
I doubt it. All right. Well, anything else tonight, Colin?
Yeah, we got the game against the Lions on Friday. That'll be good to watch. See if we get any sort of an idea of where we're going with this team, and see nobody get hurt.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I think staying healthy has always been a problem for the Giants. I think they were the second most injured team in the league last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see some better conditioning this year. I don't know.
Well, and let's hope that new field is going to pay dividends.
That too. Which we were on the field and it was nice and squishy. I didn't tear my ACL when I was out there.
Close.
No, I don't think anybody did. There was probably 1,000 people on the field and went for the draft, and nobody tore an ACL. So pretty good odds right there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow Big Blue United on Facebook, X, and Instagram. I just hate saying it. Can I just keep saying Twitter?
Yeah,
you can follow BBU Podboys with a Z on Twitter, X. Whatever. Thanks for listening, guys. And, we'll be back every week moving forward till the end of the season. So stay around. Stay tuned. Going to be here spitballing all year long.
Season 4, baby.
Woo! Good night.